Hey there guys, today I'm going to be upgrading a previous rainwater harvesting project of mine, which is this wildlife water that collects rainwater from a collection surface just up the hill, stores it in this IBC tote, and then eventually allows wildlife to drink from it via that little watering dish down at the side of the screen. I'm going to be upgrading the original billboard tarp collection surface to a metal roofing surface. And that's what I'm going to be doing. Now I'm going to direct you to my original intro and you will realize why I did this one. Some of you may remember about a year ago I made a wildlife water out of an IBC tote, and I used a billboard tarp as a rainwater collector to divert rainwater into the IBC tote. Well, today I want to update that. It has worked just fine over the past year, but the billboard tarp isn't exactly the prettiest thing. And as some of you may remember, I had some hail damage to my house, so I have a lot of old, slightly dented roofing that I have available to use. So I'm going to replace the tarp with a kind of a mini rain roof setup, and that's what I'm going to do today, but the rest of it will be just the same. And just a quick little review for those of you who might not have seen this original rainwater harvesting tarp project or my other rainwater harvesting tarp project. I will put links to both of those projects in this video in the upper portion of the screen. But the basics are on these projects is that I just get a billboard tarp, and then I grade a section of ground where it slightly slopes to one little corner. You'll notice the sides are bermed up, and then there's a PVC pipe right there that collects all that water that pools up, and then it runs down the hill to an IBC tote where it collects and ultimately feeds my wildlife water. So right now I'm just going to get this tarp and take it all up, and I'm going to start adding those cinder blocks in a level format where it slopes down here, and basically it's just going to look like a little roof on the ground. Alright guys, I'm going to try to talk you through this as you watch me do it, so hopefully it'll make sense. But as with many of my projects, there's nothing super complex. I'm just simply grading the ground to clear it so that I can add a rudimentary roof structure. For the base of this structure, I'm just using standard cinder blocks, and I've set them up in 3 courses where they slope from the closest course down to the furthest one that you can see, and it drops about 18 inches. And then all of the 2x4s that I laid across horizontally or perpendicularly, those are acting as the purlins, and then I'm just bolting them to the structure. And then I also have the steel angle also bolted to the cinder blocks where I just added a little concrete. So hopefully this will never take flight and be pretty secure for years to come. Now that the roof structure is starting to take shape, you can definitely see that there's nothing super complex about this. It's just a flat structure on the ground that I will eventually mount roofing panels to. But there is an interesting backstory to these pieces of steel angle that run the length of the structure that all of the purlins are mounted to. I got these from my friend George out of Tucson, and he actually got these from the disassembly of an old drive-in movie theater. People who live near Tucson might remember the De Anza movie theater, and these were the purlins that held the screen onto the superstructure. And the interesting aspect about this is that the De Anza drive-in was where my wife watched her first movie. I think it was 101 Dalmatians when she was, I don't know, maybe 3 years old or something like that. And I got a ton of steel from that, so you will be seeing this steel in lots of future projects, but I just thought it was kind of cool that she saw these pieces of steel when she was a 3-year-old. And now, years later, she gets the joy of seeing it on her own property, whether she likes it or not. And now that that story's done, I'll get back to the structure. Here I'm just adding some old roof drip edge flashing that was taken off my house. Not totally necessary, but I definitely think it dresses up the project a little bit, as well as serves to protect the edges of the purlins from sun exposure and rain exposure. And the last little bit of redneck engineering that I did to this structure was to add some intermediate supports in between the 3 main rows of steel supports. And the reason for that was because those spans are about 42 to 44 inches. And generally when you're having 2x4s laid flat like this, they shouldn't span more than say 16 to 24 inches. So I'm just doing that to keep them from sagging over time. I'm sure it wouldn't really be too much of an issue since the roofing really doesn't weigh that much, but I had the scrap 2x4s, so I figured I'd do it. Alright, so here it all is in finished form. You saw me put the basic structure up as well as all the roofing, and I have since added a gutter on this side, which is the low side, and that gutter runs to a concrete mixing tub over here, and then I just made a custom little roof, and that is connected to a 1-inch PVC pipe which was in place during the first version of this project. And it runs all the way down the hill to my IBC tote and game waterer. And I'll show you kind of how that tub looks like right now and why I have a tub there versus the gutter going straight to the pipe. So here's a closer look at that concrete mixing tub, which is acting as the trough. I just made this custom little lid to keep snakes and mice out. It's got a little section cut out with some hardware cloth just to act as a strainer from the gutter. And you'll see underneath it is nothing more than just a mixing tub. This is about a 25-gallon capacity. And the reason for this is because this 1-inch pipe, which was already existing, isn't big enough to allow the amount of water that can flow off of this roof. So it kind of needs a little bit of an area to collect so it can drain on into the IBC tote as the rain fluctuates. If I had, say, a 2-inch PVC pipe going to that IBC tote, I could probably just put the pipe here and collect it and let it go down. It would transfer probably fast enough. But in this case, I just added this because it was 20 bucks versus spending about 120 bucks to add the extra PVC pipe. And so far it's working pretty good. So now I'll show you what it looks like down by the IBC tote, and then I'll give you a little demo of it working. One more thing I wanted to mention is about the PVC pipe coming into the tub. You might notice it has this little angled piece, and the reason that is there is because that pipe comes in about an inch or so from the bottom. So if I just left the pipe like that, it wouldn't be able to get all of the water off of the bottom of the tub. But by having this little angled piece, it kind of acts as a siphon once the water starts flowing. And it also keeps bigger pieces of things from going down the pipe because that would have to be sucked up before going down the pipe. And here's the lower end of the system where the IBC tote is located, and that is connected to this little automatic water dish. I just have some rocks around it to make it look a bit more natural. It's just an automatic dog waterer. And then I'll show you how the pipe comes in from the rain roof area. You can see it coming in there, and then it goes up here and then over into the top of the IBC tote. And if you haven't seen the first video of this, the way this works is it's simply just a level difference. So the level up the hill where the rain roof and that trough is located is higher than this PVC pipe So it simply transfers just due to the difference in water pressure and the level difference. I think when I gauged it out, I think that trough is about maybe 10 to 14 inches higher than this pipe. So that's why it allows all that water to transfer with no additional pumps or anything else. So now I'll give you a quick demo on how it works just by dumping some jugs of water on there. And here's just a closer look at the water dish. It's just got a little float valve right here that allows it to continuously fill up. And Olive's gonna show you how it works. And then I always keep a little stick in here as a way for mice or lizards that happen to fall in, that they can just get back out so it doesn't foul up the water. And that's why I built the cover for it. All right, out. All right, guys, that's pretty much going to do it for this one. Hopefully it was interesting and informative for those of you who are into the rainwater harvesting thing, and maybe for those of you who are not and were just wondering what I was doing with a bunch of corrugated roofing in the middle of the desert. Maybe it was entertaining. Obviously, I like the rainwater harvesting thing, and I like to collect every drop that I can, and this is just one of several different ways to collect it. If there are some details that I might not have covered in this video, definitely check out the other rainwater harvesting tarp videos that I will link to above or below, and my rain roof video. I think a couple of them I included diagrams to show how that level difference works, how the water comes down and then goes back up without the use of pumps. Anyway, so I will see you guys next time. And for those of you who were scared by the mustache in the intro, you might see it from time to time in upcoming videos, but most of the time I will not have it. So see ya.